Time magazine called him the unsung hero behind the internet. CNN called him a father of the internet. President Bill Clinton called him one of the great minds of the information age. He has been voted history's greatest scientist of African descent. He is Philip Emeagwali. He's coming to Trinidad and Tobago to launch the 2008 Kwame Ture lecture series on Sunday, June 8th at the JFK Auditorium, New St. Augustine, 5 p.m. The Emancipation Support Committee invites you to come and hear this inspirational mind address the theme, crossing new frontiers to conquer today's challenges. This lecture is one you cannot afford to miss. Admission is free, so be there on Sunday, June 8th, 5 p.m. at the JFK Auditorium, New St. Augustine.
Back in the 1980s, 25,000 supercomputer scientists had registered accounts on supercomputers across the United States. I had none. I applied for supercomputer accounts. The accounts were approved, but they were immediately revoked when the administrators discovered that I was black and African. The fastest supercomputer in the world costs more than the annual budget of each of the 40 poorest nations in the world. For that reason, the fastest supercomputer in the world is a very closely guarded technology. In Japan, a non-Japanese is not allowed to browse through the operating manual of the fastest supercomputer in Japan. In China, a non-Chinese is not allowed to browse through the operating manual of the fastest supercomputer in China. In the 1980s, vector supercomputer scientists mocked me and made fun of my discovery of practical parallel processing. Today, parallel processing is the vital technology that underpins every supercomputer. And those supercomputer scientists that mocked me and made fun of me are using the new supercomputer they once ridiculed. Back in the 1980s, 25,000 supercomputer scientists were programming vector supercomputers. I took the opposite direction, called parallel processing, that was then ridiculed as a huge waste of time. That was how I discovered how to parallel process grand challenge problems and how to solve them across a new global network of 65,536 tightly coupled commodity off-the-shelf processors that outline and define a new internet. That invention made the news headlines in 1989. My parallel processing experiment that I executed across my new internet, that was a new global network of 65,536 tightly coupled processors, was the first time a scientific discoverer of sub-Saharan African ancestry and that was born in Africa was assured priority by the Western media and credited for discovering practical parallel processing and for discovering it as the vital technology that will underpin every supercomputer and as the invention that changed the way we think about extreme scale computing, specifically the way we think about the supercomputer. And it was the first time a United States president assured priority and did so in a televised White House speech, and did so for an invention of an African-born scientist. It was the first time an African scientific discoverer was included in United States Core Knowledge Series. It was the United States, not Nigeria, that chose to study my invention of the practical parallel supercomputer and study it in its schools. Back in Africa, postage stamps honored white scientists such as Galileo, Isaac Newton, and Albert Einstein that were not born in Africa. I was the first sub-Saharan African-born inventor to be honored on postage stamps. Back in the 1970s, I was unknown and I wasn't hungry for fame. I wasn't among the first to promote my discovery of practical parallel processing to the wider audience. The Computer Society of the IEEE was the first to champion my discovery of practical parallel processing. The IEEE stands for the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. The IEEE is the world's largest technical society. The Computer Society of the IEEE recognized my discovery of practical parallel processing and did so by giving me the highest award in the field of supercomputing. The Computer Society of the IEEE issued a press release that described my discovery, and that was released in late 1989. The highest recognition that I received is when young students ran to my son to tell him that they were writing their school reports on his father. The highest recognition that a scientist can get is for a 12-year-old to tell him that he wrote a school report on his contribution to science. Another high recognition is to be called a father of an everyday technology, such as the father of the internet, or to be recognized as the patriarch of a profession, or to be on postage stamps and banknotes, or to receive a field's highest prize. Most importantly, for an inventor to be immortalized and studied in schools requires that his or her invention be useful, concrete, and tangible, and be in the living room or classroom of each student. Parallel processing physically transformed my global network of 65,536 processors to a different state or thing, namely a new supercomputer that is also a new internet.
Insightful and brilliant lecture.